Okay, at this time, we're going to invite public comment. I don't have a sign-up sheet, but my guess is that I'll probably get one very soon, or I'll just go ahead and call on my good friend Andy Whiteman to come on up. There isn't one? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You must be a mind reader. You saw my sheets of paper. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Board of Alder people. First, I'd like to thank our city crews for the great job they did in cleaning up the last storm event. It was horrible for all that wind. I'd kind of class it maybe as worse than the one on Christmas and New Year's. It was just terrible, terrible. You again have a consent agenda. It certainly is without my consent. You're spending $199,881.24 without discussion. Spending that much money is certainly not routine. Is this your way of keeping spending from public knowledge? I'm not commenting on the merit of the spending. I'm outraged that there is not a discussion on each item. The public has a right to know. Doing it this way you could declare the whole agenda a consent agenda and not have a meeting at all. In fact, I'm wondering why you haven't done that yet. Your registration of vacant buildings is unreasonable in some respects. I was told this ordinance applies only to lenders, but this is not true. You're using calendar days, not business days. Legally, you cannot count non-work days. If someone needs to file a vacancy notice on a Saturday, will you open City Hall for that? Also, it is impossible to contact most companies to do maintenance on non-business days. Counting each day as a separate violation is unreasonable, does not allow time for a person to be notified and come into compliance. The fines could add up to more than the value of the property. Are you going to extradite someone from out of area if they're not in compliance? I'm presently dealing with a bank that is above the law. What would you try to take on this bank? Requiring weekly inspection is not reasonable. After I move, I will be at least a 4-day drive each way and a cost of over $1,000 for each trip. So it'd be impossible for me to inspect my property weekly. Basically, this makes it illegal for a person to move. I thought the intent of the ordinance was for the city to have a list so they can inspect the buildings. The reason a building is vacant is because the owner is not here to inspect it themselves. You use the definition of vacant as no blinds, curtains, and/or furniture. I'm unaware of any law that requires blinds, curtains, or furniture. I bought a house a little over a year ago and found it was occupied with no blinds and no curtains. I've read on the Raytown report of one alderman who was said to have no blinds and no curtains. I used to deliver mail. One house had no... In fact, is this alderman out of compliance? I thought the house was vacant and later learned that the people were living there but didn't have furniture. What about someone who's out of town for an extended time? Is that a vacant house? Are you aware this will create a public list of vacant houses that is available to criminals? This list will aggravate crime and other illegal activity. It is possible that lenders will be unaware of vacancies. The house next to me went vacant, and it was several months before foreclosure notice was posted. Apparently, the lender had no clue that it was vacant. How will you notify people of this ordinance? What about a person like myself who buys a house and takes over a year to occupy it? I can understand some logic for this ordinance. It is arbitrary and capricious and with unreasonable fines. It appears to be unenforceable and should be rewritten. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Anyone else? Okay, we're going to move on with the agenda.